Thanks for tuning in for our first ever educational tutorial. Today we're going to show you guys how to make these awesome little owl planters. So what you'll receive in your Flingin' Pots kit is a ball of clay, probably about 2 pounds. You could probably end up making 2 smaller ones if you wanted to divide it. A pin tool, paintbrush, a wooden knife, and if you request we can add some textures, doilies, things like that, stamps and other fun stuff for texture. You can also find anything around your house to use for texture. We'll also probably put a little cookie cutter in there for your eyes, or you can draw one out if you don't like that size. So to start, what you're going to do is take your ball of clay and you're going to just corner off a top little corner of it. This will be for all your eyes attachments and everything like that. With your left for the rest, just kind of roll it around on your table or so. Clay is completely cleanable. And then what you're going to do is you're going to divide or dive your 2 thumbs right in the middle and make a hole. You may want to come around it. And then push and rotate your thumbs, kind of squeezing at your fingers, making everything a little bit thinner. Starting to form the outside of it. If it gets too wide, you can always tear it and smush it back together. That'll keep the shape going taller rather than getting too ballooned open. And just continue to keep working the shape and the clay until you get kind of the size that you're looking for. I'm going to kind of just keep kind of tapping it on my hand to make it a little longer, a little bigger. Clay will often develop little cracks from being stretched too much, so just taking my fingers and maybe even just a little bit of water, just kind of smoothing it back out. You do not want to use too much water or it will oversaturate the clay and it will lose some of its strength. So here I've got kind of my body all pretty much constructed. You will also receive a little roller. The roller will be great to kind of help even out the marks that your fingers made. After you get everything kind of the shape you want, you can take a wooden spoon or any type of flat item and you're just going to kind of put your fist in there and kind of bat it. It will get rid of a lot of the lines that you had from the clay stretching. You may put some of your lines yourself. But this is going to strengthen the clay. It's going to actually make it smoother so that you can stamp in textures. So next I'll add some textures, and I'll either do that by just taking stamps and I can roll it and press into the clay, just kind of supporting the clay on the inside. So just create various textures around the exterior. And if you don't like a part that you textured, you can texture over it. It's kind of fun to make these pretty busy. So that would be my owl's body. Alrighty, now that I've got the shape all textured, you may have noticed that the top of your piece might be pretty cracky and maybe kind of breaking up a little bit. So we're just gonna go take a little bit of our water and the sponge that was provided to you, and then supporting the clay, just slowly going around the top edge, slightly pressing down with my finger, and that'll get rid of the cracks. It'll kind of smooth everything out for you and kind of make a nice top to the piece. And then we'll start with our attachments. All right, now that the body is done, you may find that if your body feels like it's collapsing or not has a lot of strength, you can grab a piece of paper, roll it up, and just kind of stick them in there. It'll expand and kind of keep that body a little bit wider for you. Next, you're going to take your leftover clay. If it's a little bit hard or you feel like it's doesn't feel very soft anymore, you can just tap it in your water, get a little bit of water on there, and just kind of separate it out, kind of smush it back together. Don't need a lot, just a little bit to kind of create a little more tackiness within the clay. Roll it into a ball. Smash it down, flip it over. Smash it down again. Eventually you can kind of use your roller to make it thinner. You can also make your attachments first to make sure you have enough clay, and then just cover them in plastic. And once your body is done, you can add all your attachments. So every time I roll, I flip it over, and that'll just help for whatever surface I'm working on that it doesn't stick. Next, I will find fun texture, a button to use for the eyes. I'm just going to push it down in the clay. A little farther from each other. If that one seems kind of light, I'll just do another one. And then use my cookie cutter to cut them out. When you use the cookie cutter, you're going to press down and kind of turn. If they don't pop up, you just kind of move your clay out of the side. One eye, two eyes. To kind of create some fun textures around the eyes, I'm just going to use my tool, and I'm just going to kind of lift in and kind of press in the corners. Same thing with the other one. Accentuate the little pupil more and just use the back of my pin tool. Kind of push in there a little bit more. Kind of make a little more of an eyeball. And I'm just going to set these aside, and I'm going to attach everything at the same time. Next, I'm just going to take my slab. I flipped it over from where that texture was, so the other side is soft and clean. And then I'm going to just cut out the teardrop size little wings. So first I'm just going to trace it. And I'll just make one first. Traced it in there. Now I'm going to cut through, just going a little sharper. More pressure with my tool. Once I get one, I'll move it away and use that as a pattern for the next one. First I just outline it. Remove it and go back through, cut it out. Once I have them both cut out, I'll apply my texture. This time I'm going to use the doily print. And I'm just going to lay it on top. and use my roller to push the fabric into the clay. And that'll leave a little textured pattern there. To clean up some of the scratchy parts around your attachment, just grab a little bit of water in your finger, and you could just kind of smooth those out a little bit more too. Soften up the edges if you would like. Next, you're just going to take your extra clay, ball it up again, tap it in some of the water, tear it, get it to stick again if it gets kind of squishy in your hands. For our nose, we're just a little triangle, so we'll just pinch off a little bit. And roll a little snake in your hand. A couple ways you can do it. You can just kind of blunt cut the top. And it can even just be like that. You can mold it with a little bit more with your hands and make it more of a carrot. Smooth it out a little bit. That's his nose. For the feet, I recommend doing just 3 little balls of clay. So 1, tear off again, feels dry, dip it in the water. That's 2. They can be different sizes as well. There's 3. Take your 3 little balls, kind of push them together towards the back, flatten them with your hand. And that'll be his toes. You can add little marks in there if you want. That's 1 foot. All right, now we have all of our pieces complete. We've got 2 eyes, 2 wings, 2 feet, and a nose. We're gonna start attaching them to our body here. The biggest main thing you should know about the hand building is scratching and attaching. So what we're gonna do is flip all of these over and we're gonna scratch. So we're really gonna hair up the surface of our eyeballs. And then we're gonna kind of see where we want them on our form. And these are gonna hang off the top, so I'm just gonna draw a little line underneath their eyes on my piece and pull them off so I can kind of see where to scratch on the body. And then I'm going to apply the clay slip, the clay glue that you got in your container. I'm just going to tap it on there. I want it to be pretty thick. Oops, I don't need some on the top, but that's okay. And then I'm just going to take the eye and just pushing from inside and out, just kind of secure to the clay. Next, I'm going to do my nose. I'm going to scratch the back of it. The nose can go down, or he can also go out, whatever you think looks better. I think I'm going to go outwards with this one. So I'll scratch the top of it, scratch surface here, add my clay slip, and secure them in place by pressing from the inside as well as the outside. Next, I'm going to do my wings. Same thing, I'm just going to kind of place them where I think I'd like them first. And then one at a time, Drawing an outline around them. Pulling them off. And same principles, scratching both sides, scratching the body, then scratching the wing. And I will attach both to either side of the body. So I've got both wings attached now on either side. Last I've just got left of my little feet. These feet will actually prop up the piece and kind of have them leaning back a little bit. I personally like that look. If you don't, you can cut the feet down and then just stick them to the outside just like you do directly like the wings. But for the prop up, it's going to be a slight taper on the outside of the back of the feet. Same principles, scratch, 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 scratch. And then basically where you're going to put them, underneath the piece, scratch, scratch, scratch. Apply the glaze slip. And you kind of just press on your paper, push on him a little bit more. Pick them up, make sure those feet kind of stick. You can kind of smooth things out from the bottom. If you are making him into a planter, lastly, the last thing you're going to do is take your pen tool, poke a hole in the middle for a little drainage. So we so hope you enjoyed making your owl and he turned out fun and however you wanted him to be. Lastly, don't forget that all clay is recycled, so every piece that you did not use, just kind of make into a ball, even if it's super hard. Put it back in the bag provided for you and we'll pick it up when we pick up your owl. Thanks a lot.